Morning, Saul. Morning, Joseph.
Morning, Mister.
Morning, Fabricio. Morning, Lourdes.
Good morning.
Morning, Mister.
How you doing?
Morning, Mister.
Morning, Sarah. Morning, Melody. Morning, Jafet.
Good morning, Mister.
Morning, Mister.
We're missing Edson. We're missing Ever. And we're missing Katia. Okay, boys and girls. General instructions. Before we begin, I will take the attendance better, so we can give chance to the rest to come in. Okay, we have Ever and we have Katia joining. Okay. Hello, Katia. Hello, Ever. As you already know, yesterday we did not have class. There was a mistake, and they had left the PE class outside of your schedule. So one of my literature class periods was sacrificed. And now, instead of having 2 hours a week, we're going to have 1 hour a week on Friday at 11. When they notified me, I had already uploaded to Edmodo a classwork 3 that is to read page 146 to page 251 and monitor your comprehension questions, and the homework was to read page 352 to 254. I will not change el modo, the instructions in el modo. I will change the instructions here. We are going to read page 246 and 248 together, and we will answer the questions together, and you will read pages 249 to 254 by yourself and monitor your questions by yourself. Please, the questions, answer them in a Word document. Write the title. The title is Literature Class, your name, Pedro Perez, the name of the story, and what's the name of the story? The name of the story is I Acknowledge Mine. And you identify, for example, page 246 has no question, but page 247 has, so you write A, summarize page 247, and then the answer. Then B, summarize page 247, then the answer. Page 248, C, persuasive techniques, then the answer. D, persuasive techniques, page 248, then the answer. And that is today's classwork. The homework is going to be from page 249 to 254. Again, you write homework, and this is homework what? Homework 2. You write class, literature, grade, 10th grade, your name, the title of the story, I Acknowledge Mine, and then page 249, the question is not marked, so you copy the question and the answer. Page 250, you write E, persuasive techniques, page 250, then the answer. Then pause and reflect, page 251, then the answer. Then F, summarize, page 252, then the answer. 253, G, persuasive technique. The second question doesn't have a title, so you copy the question and then the answer. And on page 254, H, summarize, then the answer. Okay, I'm closing the book and I have to. Okay, I'm sorry about that. When they gave me the instruction, everything was already uploaded in Edmodo. This is the last time it's going to happen. I expect next time it's going to be easier. The first homework was 3 points. This homework is 7 points. Remember, classwork, we discuss answers, so we don't have problems checking it. But homework, I read the answers and I grade them depending on your mistakes. Remember that. It's the same procedure. It's nothing different from school. The only different thing is that in school we are in the classroom, and in here each one is at home. What are we going to talk about? Persuasive techniques. Remember when I was talking about the letter to Susana or to Susano, you were trying to convince, you were trying to persuade your Susana or your Susano of something. Persuasion techniques help us convince the reader to think in certain way about a particular topic. When you were writing to Susana, you were trying to convince her to think that you are the indicated man of her life. But now we're going to do it in a more professional way. Because even if we know how to evaluate an argument, it is easy to be taken away by appeals that bypass your brain and go straight to your heart. If I'm writing to Susana, I know that there's someone more handsome than me, so I have to touch her heart. And I have to tell her something like, dear Susana, I know that you can find thousands of men that are more handsome than me, but see, no one like me will take care of you. Ah, you're touching Susana's heart. You're trying to convince her that no matter how many thousands of men are more beautiful than us, more handsome than us, but we are the unique one that is going to take care of her. We're touching her heart. We're bypassing her brain. Remember, if things go to your brain first, you think and you doubt. But if things go to your heart, your heart is something else. We have to be always aware of how powerful language is, especially when we go to the emotional appeal. What are those emotional appeals? Those are statements that are intended to bring about strong feelings. If I'm talking about food and I want you to convince you to buy me a mango, I will tell you things like, hey, listen, that mango is green. It's delicious. We place some Lee and Perrin sauce with salt and pepper, a little bit of vinegar, and even if you like, you can put some powdered spices, or you can put some hot pepper, red pepper sauce. And I bet that all of you, your mouth is right now watery. You're already convinced that we need to go and buy that mango. Because I was going to your emotions, to your feelings. In an essay, we have to include disturbing details and emotional charged words so that we can persuade whoever is reading the essay. Susana, believe me, I'll do whatever is possible, but that one, everybody can do it. I will do whatever is impossible, and no one can do the impossible things as I will to keep you happy all the rest of your life. And Susana goes like, Jesus Christ, this is a Superman. I need this man in my life. And let's see the chart that we have on page 254. The technique, emotional appeals. It appeals to pity, to fear, or vanity. It uses strong feelings. It does not use facts. It does not use evidence to persuade. It uses strong feelings. Come on, love me. I'm the one that love you the most. That's a strong feeling. You're causing pity. My life is not going to be worth if you're not in my life. Pity. Lástima. I'm watching Katya's face when She smiles of everything I'm saying. An example, I gave you examples, but the book gives you other examples. Appeals to values, ethical appeals. It brings about the moral values. It brings the moral standards. Something like, listen, I'm the most faithful man you can find on earth. My eyes are only for you. My heart is only for you. And Katya keeps smiling. See, it appeals values. The book gives you another example. Then the word choice. You have to choose words that are loaded with language, that have positive connotations for the moment you need them, or negative connotations for the moment you need them. I have never believed in love because I have always thought that people are not faithful, but now I'm convinced that I was wrong. Love is being faithful, and I'll be faithful to you all my life. And Katya is still smiling. I don't know why Katya is smiling, honestly. And the book gives you another word choice. The reading strategy is to summarize. When you summarize an argument, what you do is that in your own words, you briefly restate the main ideas of what you read and the important information of what you read. A summary is just simply, in brief, retell the main facts. It's not an evaluation, it's not your opinion. It's restating the main facts and the main information that was provided in the essay or whatever you read. So when we summarize, we have to take into consideration three things. The first one, to present ideas and information in the same order that they are presented in whatever we read. Second, when we summarize, we take away all the examples. We take away all the details. They are not important. They're not essential. What you need is just the main thing. And second, we do not criticize or evaluate the writer's idea. We don't care about our opinion in that moment. Okay? Is that clear, Katya? Good. Good. Okay, what's the purpose of reading? As we read, we will think about why the author, Jane Goodall, has written the essay, I Acknowledge Mine. Hey, listen, a very complicated topic, I acknowledge mine. It's like saying, I know who I am. Or if we see it in a negative connotation, it would be like saying, I don't know who I am. Who was Jane Goodall? Why she wrote this thing? That's what we are going to find out. I'm looking for my little towel to clean up my eyeglasses. Give me a second. I cannot see. Now I see better. Okay. 98% of chimpanzee genetic material is just identical to our genetic material. That means that we are 98% the same as monkeys. For this reason, they have long been used by researchers to study the progression and treatment of human diseases. The use of chimpanzees in research has grown increasingly controversial, and Jane Goodall is a leading authority on chimpanzee behavior. Famous for her work studying wild chimpanzees in Africa, she writes here about the situation of chimpanzees in laboratories. It was on December 27, 1986 that I watched the videotape that would change the pattern of my life. I had spent a traditional Christmas with my family in Bournemouth, England. We all sat watching the tape and we were all shattered. Afterward, we couldn't speak for a while. The tape showed scenes from inside a biomedical research laboratory in which monkeys paced round and round, back and forth, within incredibly small cages stacked one on top of the other, and young chimpanzees in similar tiny prisons, knocked back and forth or from side to side, far gone in misery and despair. I had, of course, known about the chimpanzees who were locked away in medical research labs, but I had deliberately kept away, knowing that to see them would be utterly depressing, thinking that there would be nothing I could do to help them. After seeing the video, I knew I had to try. Summarize. Let's summarize from lines 1 through 14. Jafet, how would you summarize lines 1 through 14? Ha! That means that while I was reading, you were not paying attention.
He's explaining how he starting.
First of all, it's not. First of all, it's not he.
She.
It's a she. Exactly. So, from line 1 to 14, how would you summarize it?
How she start to care about that chimpanzee?
No.
Well, I don't have idea.
Chris. Ah, you're smiling and you're scratching your piojitos. Now you're rocking the chair. 3 signals that tells me that you were not paying attention and you don't know what's going on. You're smiling, scratching, and rocking. Brujo, right, Katia? Saul, take a shot on it. From lines 1 through 4 to 14. Summarize the main idea.
It was on December 27, 1986, that I watched the videotape that will change the pattern of my life.
No. Saul, you misunderstood the question.
Summarize.
Summarize it. In one sentence.
I will start. Oh, man.
In one sentence. Mauricio. Yes, Saul. Yes, Saul.
The tape shows that biometrical research in laboratories that monkeys, the chimpanzees, were similar and tiny in prisons.
No. Mauricio.
Describe how they have the monkeys locked in a laboratory.
No. What's the most important thing of those 14 lines? The most important thing, you can find it in line 14. What does line 14 say, Lydia?
Line 14.
Yes. In your own words.
Ah.
Ah.
that after she see the video,
Saw the video?
saw the video, she knew how to do.
She knew. No. Tum, tururun, tum. Okay. Do you want my help? After she watched the video, she knew that she had to.
find a way to rescue the monkeys.
Exactly. Thank you, Fabricio. To find a way how to rescue or help the monkeys, the chimpanzees. Now, where are the monkeys Goodall describes? And what are the tiny prisons in which they are trapped? Melody?
Sorry, that I have a problem
You have a problem in the house or the monkeys have a problem in the house?
with the audio.
With the audio, so you can listen to me? Yes. Okay. Tell me, where are the monkeys Goodall describes and what are the tiny prisons they are trapped in?
They are sorry that chimpanzees that they discover how similar they can be with the human
Okay, tell me this. Where are the chimpanzees? Where?
in the laboratory.
Exactly. The chimpanzees are in the laboratory. And the tiny prisons are what?
I don't know.
You know, Sarah, could you help her?
The cages?
The cages, exactly. The monkeys are in medical laboratories and the tiny prisons are the cages. Is that difficult? The videotape have revealed conditions inside SEMA, a federally funded laboratory in Maryland. Goodall took action criticizing SEMA for violating government standards and causing psychological harms to the chimpanzees. The president of SEMA denied these charges. Several months after Goodall first viewed the videotape, she received permission to visit the laboratory. Even repeated viewing of the videotape had not prepared me for the stark reality of the laboratory. I was ushered by white-coated men who smiled nervously or glowered into a nightmare world. The door closed behind us. Outside, everyday life went on as usual, with the sun and the trees and the birds. Inside, where no daylight had ever penetrated, it was dim and colorless. It was led along one corridor after another, and I looked into room after room lined with small bare cages, stacked one above the other. I watched as monkeys paced around their tiny prisons, making bizarre, abnormal movements. Why does Goodall say that she isn't prepared to the stark reality of the laboratory? Jafet? Ah, keep on playing with that headphone. Answer the question, Jafet. Back again, you're not paying attention, Jafet. You're paying attention of what's going on around you. Who is to your right side or who is in the back, or probably they're already doing lunch and you're smelling what you're going to eat. Focus. Focus. I'll give the answer to that one. She feels that she's not prepared because reality is worse. Then came a room where very young chimpanzees, 1 or 2 years old, were crammed two together into tiny cages that measured some 22 inches by 22 inches at the base, and they were 2 feet high. These chimp babies peered out from the semi-darkness of the tiny cells as the doors were opened. Not yet part of any experiment, they had been waiting in their cramped quarters for 4 months. Yafet, pay attention. They were simply objects stored in the most economical way in the smallest space that could permit the continuation of life. At least they had each other, but not for long. Once their quarantine was over, they would be separated, it was told, and placed singly in other cages to be infected with hepatitis or AIDS or some other viral disease. And all the cages would then be placed in isolates. Okay, B. Underline the words Goodall uses to describe the lives of laboratory chimpanzees. Forget about that one. What main idea about animal rights does she imply? What main idea of animal rights does she imply?
Do not separate.
Could you repeat that, Jafet?
Do not separate them. The
Not
chimpanzee.
separate them? No. No. Katia?
That animals should not live in that condition.
I'll give you a question and a hint, Katia. Are they respecting the animals' rights?
No.
So, what does she imply? What's
That
the main
animals
idea?
need to be free.
Not precisely. It has to do with rights.
That animals have the same rights as humans.
That could be one. She's implying that animals have the same rights of humans, or she's implying that they are ignoring the animals' rights.
That animals need to be free.
No, it has to be with rights. Any of the two, that animals have the same rights of humans, or that they are ignoring the animals' rights. Remember that we are not talking only about liberty. We're talking about the whole universe of rights. That's why the question says, what main idea about animal rights? About animal rights, not about liberty, not about freedom, but about all the collection of the rights. What could they see these infants when they peered out through the tiny panel of glass in the door of their isolate, the blank wall opposite their prison? What was in the cage to provide occupation, stimulation, and comfort? For those who had been separated from their companies, nothing. I watched one isolated prisoner, a juvenile female, as she rocked from side to side, sealed off from the outside world in her metal boxes. A flashlight was necessary if one wanted to see properly inside the cage. All she could hear from the constant loud sound of the machinery was regulated, the flow of air through vents in their isolates. Question. Goodall includes rhetorical questions, questions that do not require answers in the passage. We have to underline the questions, forget about them, you know what questions they are. Now, how does Goodall answer these questions? You will not find the answer literal in what we read. Do you need my help? Kaki is the only one that smiles and says yes. Yes, Ever.
Page. What page? I know.
248. Okay, I have less than 2 minutes. So, the answer. What does she do in the complete paragraph? She makes rhetorical questions and she answers all of them just by stating the effects of the laboratory life on the chimpanzees. Stating the effects of the laboratory life in the chimpanzees. Boys and girls, nice to have you in class. I promise that next week we will have less work accordingly because we will only have one class. I'm really sorry. Remember at 4:59 it has to be uploaded. I'll try to see if I can do any change. If it's 4:59 and you have not turned it in, doesn't matter if you place it at 9, 10, 11 or whatever. I will not take points off because of that. I know that we have to do a sacrifice, okay? Have a nice weekend. I love you. I miss you. Take care. Jafet, you need another place. You're too concentrated in the kitchen. Bye.
Bye, mister.
Bye, bye.